like literally, like there was millions and millions of dollars coming into a startup. Like when Mark Price saw the product, his first comment was, "This is going to be disruptive."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that was that. So Firewire was born, and off we went. So my primary role was to teach all the people, the emerging staff, how to make boards.
Wow.
And so basically we set up the factory in Queensland. There was also another factory set up in San Diego. So I was going to America. I was working with guys there. And then thirdly, excuse me. Then thirdly, I had to go to Thailand and set up a manufacturing facility in Thailand. And that was I've sworn a few times, but that was a major mindfuck.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was like, so you literally, some of the stuff was easy, like, creating a floor plan.
Was it Cobra Factory that you went to?
No,
Or it was
not
just
at all.
starting
No,
a fresh,
this
whole
was
new
like,
factory?
Let's go to another country and set up the Firewire production facility.
How did you feel about that? I'm sorry, but I got to ask, how did you feel about creating production overseas and not...
Well, I was saying to the guys, we got to speed this up.
Really?
Because at the end of the day, one of the major issues in the Western world at the time was the amount of product that was being imported or already coming in from Thailand and China, coming in at really competitive rates.
Yeah.
I knew that if we built because that was one of the problems I had also, was that it was getting harder and harder to be competitive to manufacture in the Western world.
Yeah.
And so I knew before we even started that there was no future in manufacturing a commodity, like a production type setup. You just couldn't do it in the Western world. So I knew, because I could also see how much money we were bleeding out.
Yeah.
Seriously, we had like 87 employees before we were even building boards. It was crazy. You had crew in marketing, and you had crew in web and IT, and it was all these different things. Look, I get it, and I didn't get it. I was freaking. When I started my business, right? When I started back in 1988, I started my business with $2,000. All right, and I built a few boards, and I built 5 boards, and then I sold a few, and then I built some more, and kind of just slowly built it up, just from nothing. So you kind of learn to be thrifty, and all of a sudden you're in a business where you're just seeing crazy amounts of money just being thrown at stuff, and it was kind of like, it's not getting done quick enough. Let's hire another 10 people. No, it's got to get done next week. Let's hire another 20 people. It was kind of like, the more money you throw at it and the more people you throw at it, it's got to get done. And Dougal was like, speed to market. And he was a real driver. At the time, I looked at it and went, oh, what the fuck's going on here? But there was a lot of stuff I look back on now in retrospect, and I'm like, nah, there was a lot of shit. You're the general manager of Billabong. You literally have thousands of employees. You're dealing with millions of dollars, and the guy knew how to get shit done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is, I guess it's almost like a similar philosophy of a lot of tech companies you see, like Uber and Amazon, where they just try to be everywhere as fast as possible and make it so you can't compete because they're just all over the place and have the infrastructure and all that set up. And that's what it kind of sounds like to me. Like they were just trying to get it as many places as possible.
Yeah, and so this is where, I was already stretched to the limit, because I'm in Australia, I'm training a crew there, I'm going to America, I'm training a crew there, and then I get sent to Thailand, and I'm not dealing with guys who are traditionally from the surfboard industry, who have already been building PU boards for 20 or 30 years, who can glass, they can sand, they can shape. I literally had a bunch of fucking rice farmers, and it was like Rumpelstiltskin.
Wow. Get
Get in there and turn those raw materials and these rice farmers into 400 boards a week.
Wow.
How are you going to fucking do that? So I was just like, guys, I need some help here. I'm drowning. Send in some other crew. So in the end, it wasn't just me. It was like there was 6, 7, 8 of us flying in.
And were you making the models too? Like working on the designs?
No. So basically, Nev was the main shaper. Mm-hmm. Another guy, Dan Mann, got pulled in as like the sort of secondary shaper.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Like, I literally, I was the tech guy.
Yeah.
I was the guy that had to set up the production process, the production systems, and also train the staff, you know.
How did you
do
feel
it like
about
me,
that?
hold the machine like me, sand like me, laminate like me.
Were you punching them with your knuckle or like giving them a dead leg?
Yeah, look, honestly, I did. Look, Thailand's a really interesting culture in the sense that one of the worst things you can do in Thai culture, like it's almost taboo, is for somebody to lose their temper or display anger in public. That is just absolutely taboo behavior, and it's really looked down upon. Like,
I would not do well.
Yeah. And so what would happen was something would come out shit, and I'd just grab the board and I'd throw it on the ground and I'd stomp up and down on it and I'd go, this is not fucking good enough. And then the next day, 1/3 of our staff just wouldn't come to work. And I'm just like, oh, shit, okay, that's not working.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was difficult, you know, because you're like you're like an artist, an artisan, a craftsman. You want to build a quality product, and you know. So yeah, look, training people's not an easy thing, but look, ask a teacher.
Yeah,
they must know. You know, I'm sure that anyone out there who's a teacher probably got angry a few times when they were younger, and figured that didn't work. You know, they got a bunch of 6-year-olds and the whole class just burst into tears. That doesn't work.
Did you want to be doing the design, or were you more interested in the tech at the time then?
Look, that's an interesting question.
That's why I asked it.
And I think you've probably, I don't know. These interviewer types are pretty cool. What I like about dealing with crew that do good interviews is you somehow just know how to ask the right questions.
Boy, thank you.
Yes, I did. To be honest, I was a little pissed off.
My head's swelling now.
Yeah, okay. Now, look, to be honest, I was a little pissed off because, yes, I was the tech type. Yes, I was the kind of mad scientist behind it all. But fuck, I knew how to make good boards too.
Yeah.
And it was like, how can you fucking get some guy who's got no experience with composites and say, start designing composite boards?
Yeah.
You know, I'm the right guy for the job. But unfortunately, I couldn't do everything. So at the time, yes, I wanted to be one of the designers. But looking back now from, say, Dougal and Mark Price's position, there's just no way they could give me that responsibility because I had to go in and set up the production process and train the staff and get things rolling in the background.
So what's it like to go into a country like Thailand, flush with cash, and be like, design your perfect surf manufacturing plant? Like, that must be daunting, but also exciting to think about the ways you can set up the production.
Yeah, look, I've always been very system oriented.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if I go back to like my factory in Western Australia, it was always a really sort of, my last factory especially, just super clean, organised. Mm-hmm. Everything had a place, shadow board, tools in the right spot. It was just an organised workplace. So I kind of always had this sort of concept of Subway or McDonald's.
Yeah.
You know, just a clean, organised workplace where everything functions. Look, it was kind of like you have a vision for your product and for the process. Excuse me again. Where it broke down a little bit was when I sort of screamed out for help in the sense that I couldn't get these rice farmers to produce 400 quality boards a week.
Yeah. So
then I sort of put my hand up and said, guys, you got to send in more crew. You know, I need more crew from Australia, more crew from America. Send them in. You know, there's no way we can train all these people with just one person. So as more people started coming in, it was like, we're going to do things differently. We're going to produce it this way. And then the accountant pops up and he's like, no, Dougal calls me, says, oh, Bert, the accountant says that he's made a proposal to change the sandwich foam for another brand because it's going to save $11 a board. One of the other laminators has said, we're going to change to this fabric because it's easier to work with. And I'm like, no, if you use that foam, it's going to fuck up. I've used that foam before. It's just going to self-destruct. No, you can't use that glass. It's a 60-40 weave. A sandwich is strongest with a 50-50 weave. If you use a bias weave, it's going to have a grain line like timber. Yeah. It's going to be weak one way. No, you can't use that. So other people started coming in, sort of overriding the system, overriding sort of my vision or goal for the product. And, like I wanted to build the Rolls Royce or the Ferrari of surfboards. And I'm seeing it just slowly kind of
degrade,
water down into a different product. And then after that, like my former customers from Sunova, from Western Australia, they kind of figured that I was now Firewire. So they're actually buying Firewires off the shelf.
Yeah, thinking they're your boards.
Yeah, that's it, because they thought they were mine. And I'm getting these phone calls like, what the fuck is this shit you're giving us now? Like, I've been buying your boards for 10 years, and what is this? So things started to happen, like I'm a temperamental sort of artist, maybe a bit of a perfectionist. I was always used to running my own business. I wasn't really a good team player. I was probably a little immature as well. I really resisted management decisions.
Do you think any of your success went to your head at the time too?
For big time.
Because you got like Shape of the Year 2007 in surfing, I remember.
Yeah, so there was that. There was the fact that... So there was definitely a little bit of like head swell. There was also the fact that things weren't being done the way I wanted them. Things weren't really perfect. And so at that time, I'm like, oh, you know what? I think I want to go back to doing Sunova. And... even though I kind of got kicked out of Firewire, I think what it really was deep down inside, I thought, if I can be disruptive enough, they'll just get rid of me.
So it's almost like you were trying to get your girlfriend to break up with you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, kind of like that, yeah. So look, I made it really easy for the guys to actually get rid of me.
How did they, if you don't mind me asking, like how did they do that? Or was it like a subtle like, hey, you might want to take an extended vacation? Or was it like just came in and it was a long talk?
I can't remember. Like I think, I don't know, like I overheard this conversation like, oh, who's going to do it? I'm like, oh, what's going on over here? And then it was like, Dougal pulls me in. Yeah. And he says, we're going to have to let you go. And I'm like, oh, fucking you beauty. and then there's laughter. And Nev's kind of confused because Nev's outside. I know there's a bunch of people in earshot. And I remember hearing Nev saying later on, he was like super confused. I don't know. They called it the something chamber. I can't remember that there was a word for it, because I was going to go into this room and everyone thought I would just come out like this saddened, ruined creature. And me and Dougal are in there laughing and having a joke. And I'm kind of like, because honestly, behind the scenes, I was already kind of making my plans to get Sunova set up in Thailand. And so I was already sort of, and I think maybe that's what it was too, maybe they got wind of that or, I don't know. Look, seriously, do an interview with Mark Price. Ask him.
Was there, when you left, was there, and then you would see like Firewire's success. Was there any resentment? Did you feel like any frustration?
Not back then. Like, to be honest, when I got out, I look in. Like when you look back on things, sometimes you don't call stuff in life. Like I looked at Firewire. I saw millions of dollars going into a hole. I'm thinking this company's not going to last. I didn't see any future, like, and again, another one of those kind of wrong calls, Just like when I first saw stand-up paddleboards.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, this shit's going nowhere. Right. Got that one.